MJ on the journey back to Silicon Valley. Welcome to my channel. To give you a little bit of context about me and to share what inspired me to want to become a software engineer. So for most of my life, I was an entrepreneur, mainly in the Los Angeles area, but eventually I ended up moving to Silicon Valley, where I founded a social aggregation startup that ended in spectacular failure. Now, as an entrepreneur, I am no stranger to failure, but this one in particular has actually changed the trajectory of my life. So after the team and I ran out of funds, I found myself in San Francisco clueless about what to do next, or how was I going to be able to actually afford living in the city. Luckily, during the hiring phase, there was this girl who actually applied for a marketing and PR position. And I remember we had great interview, great conversation, and she was super interested in actually joining the company. So I called her and blatantly asked if I could actually move in with her, because my company just ran out of funds and I was not able to actually get a place of my own in San Francisco. She was a bit surprised, but she said she'll come down to the office and we can talk about it. So she came down to the office. We had a conversation. I explained to her what the situation was. And actually, the day that she showed up to the office was literally the last day of my office lease. I had literally moved my stuff out that very day. So she actually agreed to let me stay at her place in exchange of digitizing her animal rescue and dog walking service. So I moved in with her. We actually ended up hooking up, and I started a new chapter in San Francisco. So to make a long story short, for the next few years, I helped my girlfriend digitize her animal rescue and dog walking service. My girlfriend at the time, currently she's actually my wife. And during that time, I discovered these tech meetups that were held all over the city, which actually I never been to any of them before. I was kind of head down during that year and a half that we had the funds to actually build the startup. It was just me and then a couple of engineers working. Now, I moved to the Mission District, which is a really eccentric neighborhood. For those of you who visited San Francisco know what I'm talking about. And mind you, for the year and a half up until that point that I've lived in San Francisco, I've never been to the Mission District. And actually was always around Embarcadero, which was where the office of my startup was located. So yeah, I discovered these meetups, right? And the most attractive aspect actually of these meetups was that there was free food and free beer at all of them, which I thought was like amazing. And I was literally at those meetups like 7 days a week, almost. Like some weeks I will do 3 to 4 days because I had a busy week and couldn't make it, but I attended them religiously. And gradually, these meetups became about more than just having free pizza and beer prior to actually going and like partying somewhere. It started to actually ingrain in me or ignite an insatiable desire to want to become a software engineer. I mean, during those meetups, I met incredible startup founders, incredible software engineers that were working on all kinds of products. And for me to see their ambition, how excited they were when they were talking about their startups, they're even excited when they were talking about their failures, and them raising money from VCs, and also the really interesting speakers they used to come to these events. I mean, from Google to Facebook to Microsoft to Apple. It was an incredible environment. Now, I barely wrote any lines of code during those years. Well, I picked up a little bit of C and wrote some command line programs, like basic ones, but I barely coded. But the exposure to that environment was like really inspiring, and it made me really want to become a software engineer and be able to actually, if I have an idea or a vision, I'm able to actually translate it into a product that someone can use. And looking back at my failure with the startup, I realized that had I known how to code, I could have at least like delayed the complete shutdown of the startup, or pivoted and built a prototype and could go back to investors for more funds. And so yeah, I really started to see that I really want to become a software engineer. And then at one of these meetups, I met Alex Asali, the co-founder of Jawbone, and that was one of those pivotal moments for me. So the meetup was incredible. Alex took us through his beginnings of Jawbone, the struggles, raising money, the technical difficulties they went through, the pivots. And after the meeting was over, I actually approached him, and we had a conversation. And he started to suggest that perhaps living in San Francisco may not be the best optimal thing to do all the time for a startup founder. And he found out that I was actually originally from Morocco. And he suggested that Morocco would be a great option, a place to actually move to, because it has a really low cost of living compared to San Francisco. And it has great internet. And that if I were to go there, and I will have a much longer runway, and I can always shoot for the global market, since this is an internet product. So I kind of, the idea was a bit exotic, and I kind of toyed with it for about a year and a half to 2 years. And I eventually decided to actually move and get away from the really high cost of living, and actually have more time to dedicate to actually learn software development, which I wasn't able to actually do in San Francisco. Now, after that very meetup, I actually started kind of learning. I started going on YouTube, and I picked up a few books, but I always found myself struggling to actually find the time to retain whatever it is that I was learning. And for any of you who's learning web development, software development part-time, you know the struggle, and you know what I'm talking about. So eventually I decided, you know what, as much as I love Silicon Valley, as much as I love being in the Bay Area, I'm not able to become a software developer here, due to me simply not having enough time to dedicate to it. So I jumped ship and actually moved to Morocco to dedicate my entire time to actually software development. And right now, I am based in Casablanca, actually. And this channel is documenting the journey of me going back to Silicon Valley. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that my channel provides value to any aspiring software engineer or tech entrepreneur out there that wants to become a technical founder. Thank you for watching.